just want to share with you this amazing story about God's grace and how He will allow circumstances that we have to go through to put us in the right place at the right time. So here at St. Joseph Hospital, I kept hearing about people coding, and so I just felt like God told me pray over, because there's a lot of people having their coding. So I thought, okay, well maybe that's one of the reasons I have to be here. I'm not saying that God caused this infection, but He definitely will use those situations that I believe can come in from the enemy, turn it around for good for somebody, and there's grace on us to go ahead and do what we need to do with what He's equipped us to do. Last night, my sweet nurse came in and she confided in me that she had to have surgery for cancer. And so I told her about the experience with my mom in the early 90s, was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. And God had let me know before she called to tell me that she would be calling and telling me she had cancer and what to say to her. So the story, I won't go into great detail about it, but she ended up through prayer and saturating herself in the healing materials that I had given her about God's mercy and healing and His word on it and His heart to heal us. And she miraculously, the cancer disappeared. The doctors were floored. They'd never seen anything like it. And she lived until just a couple of years ago. She was only given 3 months, way back then. And she just passed a couple of years ago. And also, my ex-husband's cousin, she was diagnosed with cancer. God had told me about it and told me to wait a week to call her about it. So the night I called her and said, I know what you're going through, she burst into tears and said, I was just on the floor on my knees crying out to God to please do something. So I went to talk to her. We prayed the salvation prayer. We prayed through commanding that cancer to go, and the cancer left. So she was doing great for a few years after that. So I understand the power of prayer. I understand that I believe cancer, directly or indirectly, is a demonic force that we can command in our authority in Jesus Christ as believers to leave. And so I talked about all of that with this nurse. She was very open to my prayers over it. And so she came back to my room. We hung out for a while, and then I prayed over her, and she was just so peaceful. You could feel God's presence in this room. And she looked at me and said, I'm the reason you had to come. That just makes me cry, because sometimes there's just these divine appointments where we may not like what we're personally going through that put us in that situation, but God will use it, and He will turn it around. So I just trust Him for each one of us, that He will use whatever He's given us at this point in our life, however He's equipped us, and whatever we're going through. If we'll trust Him, and if we'll keep resting in Him, He will turn it around for good. And it'll be a grace and blessing to us. I really do feel like it's all okay. Everything I just went through, it's all okay. Because I'm grateful I got to be a part of that. All right, be blessed.